Something changed again. And if you've been following what's happening with AI music platforms, especially Suno, you've probably started to see the pattern, even if it hasn't been stated directly yet. Edward Venetea has been analyzing these possible future scenarios with AI music platforms like Suno, tracking how these systems evolve under pressure. Because not long ago, the entire system looked simple. You generate music, you download it, you take it somewhere else, and that's where the value gets realized. And in the last two videos, we broke down what happens when that system starts to break, why unlimited generation creates pressure the platform can't ignore, and how that pressure can lead to restrictions, ownership claims, and new forms of partnership.
But those changes don't stop at creation. And they don't stop at ownership, because once a platform starts controlling how music is made and starts participating in who owns it, the next step is, well, it's inevitable. It's not about generating music anymore. It's about what happens after the music exists. See, up to this point, distribution has always been separate, right? You create something, and then you decide where it goes. But what happens when that separation just disappears? What happens when the platform that generates your music also becomes the place where it gets released? So watch through the end, making sure to read Edward's final conclusions. And if you find value here, sharing and subscribing really helps this kind of content reach more people. Now, let's get started with the explainer.
Okay, so to really get a grip on where this is all going, we kind of have to rewind a bit, back to the beginning. Initially, the whole system was incredibly straightforward. A platform's role, it was just one thing: creation. That's it.
The whole pipeline was just super linear and clear. You generate a track on a platform, maybe like Suno, you download the file, and then you take it to a totally separate system, like a distributor or an aggregator, to actually release it. And the key, the really important part here, was that clean separation. It meant you, the creator, had control. It meant the real value, it was realized completely outside of the platform.
But you know that beautifully simple model? It has this one critical weakness. It only works as long as the amount of music being made stays manageable. The second that scale changes, the moment you have a flood of new music, the whole thing just comes under incredible pressure.
And that, right there, is the core conflict. You've got these AI platforms that introduce basically infinite instant creation. But all of that music is getting pumped into a discovery ecosystem that's still running on finite everything. Finite attention, finite ways to get paid, finite ways for people to find stuff.
If nothing is done, platforms like Deezer could end up becoming the model itself as the system tries to deal with the flood of AI music.
The two systems are they're fundamentally mismatched.
And Edward Venetea's analysis really nails it here. He says that when the volume gets overwhelming, the discovery systems, they don't just struggle, they actually start to fail. It's not like they just stop working entirely. It's that they were never, ever designed for this level of saturation. So what happens? Well, quality content, it doesn't matter if it's from a seasoned musician or a brilliant AI creator, it just gets lost in the noise. But imagine this, a musician who has worked for years to find their sound and finally does an AI creator with a real gift for melody, a songwriter bringing old cassette demos back to life, a band recording a breakthrough track. None of them are ever heard because discovery gets buried under billions of tracks of AI-generated noise.
So the consequences of this are systemic. Discovery literally collapses under the weight of it all. And that line between real, genuine creativity and just scaled, automated exploitation, it just vanishes. This isn't some slow-burning problem. It's a deep, structural one, and it forces the entire system to react.
So, okay, how does a platform respond to all this pressure? It can't just let the floodgates stay wide open forever, right? So the first, most logical thing to do is to start imposing some control. And where do you do that? Well, at the one point you already have leverage, the moment of creation itself.
And we're already seeing this happen. That old model of just unrestricted downloads and easy exports, it's being replaced.
There is no question that disabling or limiting downloads is not a matter of if, but when.
Now we're seeing limited outputs, restricted access, and the beginnings of what you might call walled gardens. You look at deals like the Suno-Warner partnership, and you can see it pointing in this exact direction, maybe even evolving towards a more controlled setup like the Udio Universal model. And what this all means is that the platform isn't just a passive tool anymore. No way. It's actively transforming into a gatekeeper. It's inserting itself right into the middle of the pipeline to manage the flow of music. And really, it almost has no choice if it wants to relieve all that pressure on the system.
But here's the thing. Just limiting the output doesn't solve the bigger problem, which is about value. The platform is no longer just facilitating creation, it is starting to define the conditions under which that creation has value. And once that happens, control doesn't stay confined to one layer.
So the next logical step for the platform is to get involved in ownership. And we're not talking about them taking everything, but more about introducing things like shared ownership, publishing splits, and participating in the rights. Their argument is going to be, hey, our system contributed to the final result, so we deserve a piece.
Okay, so this brings us to the final, and honestly, the most critical piece of this whole puzzle. Because even with controls on creation and ownership, there's been one layer that has always stayed separate, totally outside the platform's control, and that's distribution.
And this is really the central question of this whole analysis. See, as long as distribution happens somewhere else, the creator still holds on to a certain degree of independence. But from the platform's point of view, that's where they lose the most control, the most visibility, and the biggest chance to capture value. And that gap, it's getting harder and harder for them to justify.
So what's the solution to closing that gap? It's something called vertical integration. This is the moment when the platform stops being just a single tool and becomes a full end-to-end system. It connects creation, ownership, and distribution all into one continuous controlled pipeline.
And this is what that new world looks like. Instead of exporting a file and taking it somewhere else, you just release your music from inside the very same place you created it. The platform handles all of it, the metadata, the delivery, the whole shebang. That external distributor you used to use, suddenly not needed anymore, because the platform is the distributor now.
Now this kind of evolution, it builds a completely new power structure. I mean, when one single platform controls the entire pipeline from start to finish, that fundamental relationship between the creator and the system is just completely transformed.
For you, the creator, everything changes. Getting paid is no longer some separate thing you handle. It flows directly through the platform. The platform isn't just a place to make stuff anymore. It becomes a functional gatekeeper, actively shaping how your music gets out there and competes. All the leverage shifts, and the rules for how you even get to participate are defined by the system itself.
And this is the really crucial insight here. The power isn't just in the terms of service you click agree on. No, it's embedded in the very architecture of the system itself. The pipeline itself becomes the mechanism of control. It shapes the outcomes before they can even happen.
Now, this doesn't automatically mean some dystopian future for creators, okay? But it does mean that the rules of the game are being fundamentally rewritten. It creates a brand new and very, very different kind of trade-off.
And this is the new choice creators are going to have to face. You can give up a certain amount of control, and in exchange, you get access to this incredibly powerful, streamlined, all-in-one system. Or you can try to hold on to full control by operating outside of it, which, let's be honest, is going to get harder and harder and maybe even less relevant over time. The whole idea of what independence means gets completely flipped on its head. If you want to understand how that can extend into ownership, including scenarios where the platform could claim a significant share, influence, or even control the composition itself, watch our video Why Suno Will Take a Chunk of Your Publishing, where 3 basic scenarios are broken down in detail. And if you use platforms like Suno to generate music with text prompts, watch our video Why Cheap AI Music is Ending on Suno.
So, we're left with this huge, fundamental question. When the platform owns the entire pipeline, what does independence truly mean? Now, while many AI-generated tracks that were created before these platforms brought in stricter contracts might still have full commercial rights, there's just no guarantee that future changes won't try to reach back and redefine how those works are treated. At the same time, the direction outlined here by Edward Vinatea might not just be driven by the platforms themselves. Market pressure could push these cloud-based AI platforms to adopt some or all of these changes, basically evolving into something that looks a lot like a record company. But that might not be the only thing pushing this. You've got the rapid advancement of consumer hardware, right? And the emergence of locally run, more ethically trained AI models, some of which might even be free. That could speed up this whole transition even more, and maybe even become the deciding factor in how this ecosystem evolves. And it's important to remember, this analysis is really grounded in how copyright and ownership works under US law, which is where these platforms mostly operate. Enforcement outside the US has historically been, well, less consistent, which just adds another layer of uncertainty to everything we've talked about. If that future does take shape, it won't just change how music is made or distributed. It will completely redefine where control actually lives and what it even means to participate in that system. More on that in the next video after this trilogy. As usual, if you found this helpful, like, comment, and share to help us reach more people. You can also support the channel with super thanks in the video menu. See you in the next one.
You've